Hope you all doing well today. Today is the 21st of September. Hard to believe September's are almost over. Moving into October, transition month between summer and fall. And if I remember correctly, today is astrological fall, or it was yesterday. Can't remember. But anyway, enough about that. Moving on here. We have Gabrielle. This is first light visible images. You can see um, looks like it's getting better organized. Overnight, it kind of fell apart a little bit. And one of the reasons is this mid-level or upper level feature, maybe mid-level feature to its um, southwest and part of shear on it. But as this system gets further away, let me stop it here. System gets further away, it'll come into an area of lighter shear for a day or two and likely reach hurricane strength with minimal wind impacts to Bermuda, likely to pass way east of Bermuda. However, and given its small size, at least right now, you can see the radius maximum winds look to be pretty small. I'll show you those graphics in a minute, but start this loop again. Pretty small system right now, and you can see the flow just to its west here, coming out of the southwest, and clear. The path is clear for the system right here to go like that, or like that. We had another tropical wave out here, a broad cyclonic envelope associated with it. You can see it moving around right there. And this is probably going to be our next area of interest that's likely to move in this general direction, or maybe here. And is getting more support from the models for possible development um, in the next 7 days. And I'll show you that graphic as well in a minute. One thing I wanted to show you too was interesting. Oops, I'm sorry, wrong graphic. This is what I want to show you. These are two typhoons out here in the super typhoons out here in the Western Pacific. Pretty impressive, isn't it? I know this is kind of glitchy here. I'm going to stop this. This one down here especially looks very impressive right now. This one out here in the Northeast Pacific, more or less. There's Japan up there. Isn't quite as impressive, but this is just a basic outlooks for the two. This one looks to be a fish storm, the Neoguri, and this is Ragasa. Might brush. I don't even know what continent that is. Anyway, might impact these islands and these two areas here. Apologize, I don't know the names of those, but I just wanted to show you this to show you how impressive these systems are. Right, it's pretty amazing. It's just like a sandwich view here, so pretty cool. Meteorologically speaking, it's cool. It's not gonna be cool, obviously, if it impacts people's lives here, which it might do. Um, so moving on to National Hurricane Center, um, advisory for Tropical Storm Gabrielle, past east of Bermuda. Swells and rip currents are the biggest risk, and tropical storm force winds are still a possibility on the Bermuda Islands, but um, the swells and rip currents on the south facing beaches are probably the biggest threat today. I mean, as it passes to the northeast of the islands later this evening and tomorrow morning and into Tuesday. These are the probabilities of tropical storm force winds reaching Bermuda. And you're probably wondering why I'm still talking about this because there's impacts to people who live on Bermuda. So if there's somebody listening in Bermuda, they might want to know what's going on. Hopefully, they're paying attention to somebody about this. And I'm sure the people in Bermuda are pretty well prepared for this kind of stuff because they're an island and they have to be, you know. So, um, moving on to 58 mile per hour probabilities. Not expected to get those high winds on Bermuda. Okay. And hurricane force wind probabilities, not any closer to Bermuda. Fish storm, right? Um, and this is the surface wind field estimate. You can see most of the stronger winds are still on the eastern side of the circulation. I think that's going to change. It's going to become more symmetrical in the next 12 to 24 hours, I think. And we'll likely see it become a hurricane today or tonight. And this is the rip current risk associated with Gabrielle, high to moderate along the east coast of the U.S. and in the parts of the Antilles here, and of course Bermuda. It doesn't show Bermuda on this map. Uh, as far as I'm going to show you this too. This is kind of a graphic from Bermuda Weather Service. Oops. Shows Gabrielle in the seas, 9 to 15 feet around it. Move it forward. Another one. There's Bermuda right there, passing well to the east of it. So seas 9 to 15 feet look likely impacting the eastern shore, southeastern shore of Bermuda. Okay. So that's that. That's another look at it. Satellite view. What I just showed you, pretty much the same thing. And this is a close up view, first light visible images. Um, it looks like the outflows is starting to expand in the southern edge of the system and on to the west. With some drier air, maybe dust up here to the north. But anyway, looks pretty getting healthier. It looks like so. As far as the future track of Gabrielle and intensity, this is a graphic from the Tomerberg website showing Bermuda here where it's supposed to go, become a Category 2 hurricane, possibly in the Central Atlantic. And this is the super ensemble guidance for the track. You see where the red is, high confidence in the track in the red area here. So we've already kind of showed that. These are all the different model tracks. You can see all are on to the east, well, east of Bermuda. Model forecast intensity, we kind of looked at that a minute ago. Most models make it a hurricane, some a little stronger than others, but we'll see where that goes today. This is a different model Ensemble outputs, showing the same thing really, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. It's been moving slower than expected, so um, but still, you can see all to the east here of Bermuda. Same thing with GFS ensembles, CMC, which is a Canadian ensembles, and the Google DeepMind is tightly clustered. Okay. And the ship's intensity forecast is just a model designed to forecast intensity, um, Cat 1. But the official forecast is Cat 2 by the time it turns to the right of Bermuda there. So that's about it for Gabrielle. I'm going to spend a little time next going over future tropical development. So stay tuned. All right. So I forgot to do this. This is the forecast wave heights and primary wave direction shown by the arrows here. Waves approaching between 10 and 20 feet with Gabrielle. And this is a 1 hour GFS rendition of the wave heights. You see the wave heights approaching Bermuda here of 10, 15 feet on the south facing shores. You see the waves radiating out to east coast this way. Not a large storm, so no impacts to the east. Well, some impacts to the eastern rip currents and stuff off the shoreline, but the biggest impacts to Bermuda. You can see as you go toward the end here, that's the end of that. So the this disturbance out here, now the National Hurricane Center is giving it a 40% chance of development in the next 7 days, pretty much to the south of where Gabrielle went. So I think the models are coming in better agreement. We're going to get something, another depression or storm here in the north of the Caribbean and possibly in the Gulf of Mexico or somewhere in this area here. And climatologically speaking, it supports it. And maybe I'll go over that graphic as part of this as well. But excuse me, probabilities. Excuse me, I get a drink here. So these are the probabilities based on the European ensembles, what the models think probabilities are of a depression up here forming. This is the pane here, tropical storm forming or hurricane. We already know where Gabrielle is. We pretty much know what it's going to do, so I'm not going to talk about that. It's more this disturbance. Go to 120 hours. I hate the way this thing goes. See the disturbance there. Pretty good chance of a depression forming, 50, 40, 50% chance is probably what the National Hurricane Center is looking at. And some other areas here, possibilities. Move through time. Some areas start to show up 192 hours, which is Monday, 29th September, which is 8 days from now, just north of the Caribbean islands into the Central Caribbean, again in the main development region, and maybe where in the Gulf of Mexico. And tropical storm probabilities and hurricane probabilities are there as well. And the probabilities remain about the same. And this model is showing a pretty strong signal for something off the coast of Africa as well, again, which is kind of unusual. This is 1 October. That's as far as this goes. I'm going to go over some of the spaghetti model. It's funny, but that's what it's called. Guidance next on this potential system next. It might develop in the next week or so next. Okay. I think this best represents uh, the future tropics. Uh, and I looked at this for a little bit, and I want to explain a little bit about this. This is 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies, which it means the darker reds above normal heights of 500 millibars, which is your steering flow that we look at when cyclones are developed vertically. Okay, so if it's a tropical depression, likely steered by low level winds, it becomes vertically aligned like Gabrielle is here. Sorry, this is moving. Gabrielle, right here. Okay. Being steered by the ridge, right? And the ridge, it sees a weakness in that ridge, moves to the west on the western periphery of it and out to sea. Well, recurves out and stays out to sea. So what we see in here, all the models agree, at least these four go through time. Dang it. I hate this thing. Trough, cutoff low, likely develop along the east coast with a ridge of high pressure here. Same thing here, right? All these solutions are pretty much the same, and you can see right here the beginnings of what we're looking at. With the GFS especially is a lot further east than the other solutions here with this disturbance. It's barely apparent on the European model, but move this through time a few. I'm going to stop it here. Illustrate a little more. Here's what the CMC, which is the Canadian model, thinks there's a cyclone. The European AI has something there. And the GFS, you see how much further west it is. I may have said east earlier. I apologize. And you can see the strength of the ridge and lows is more apparent here on the GFS. And off the east coast, right off the east coast, this low is a little bit further to the east and stronger, it looks like. So, especially on the European, it's even stronger, but the GFS is by far the most aggressive as far as being further east here. We'll just have to see how that plays out. But, and this is 6 days from now. Moving forward a little more in time here. The weakness along the East Coast, which has been the general theme this year, and you have broad ridging to its north, but you see that weakness up here, the GFS, low right there, and this low on the Canadian is a little bit further north and further, and the European AI still has a pretty stout, not stout, but high pressure to the north of where the system is. Even the European has the ridging here. Okay, so move this through time a little more. Not gonna waste your time on this. Quite a different solution here with the European AI and the Canadian. There's quite a pronounced difference with another low developing up here into Canada, where the CMC doesn't have that, has a stronger high pressure over steering this cyclone, right? And the European and the GFS disagree as well, with the low being further to the east with the GFS and the high pressure being, a little bit stronger. But in general, the GFS still moves the system. It may move it through time here. And see the CMC kind of holds it, the system. God bless it. Sorry, guys. This is as far out as the CMC goes. And this is the end of it where I'm going to stop it. This is 1 October. Ridging building to the west of the system, which is pretty apparent with all the models, but they differ. The GFS, that system gone already. With the European, it's here. So most times it doesn't jog to the left when that happens. And just for clarity here, you can see what ends up happening. None of these models, and we don't know what the Canadian's going to do with this, but this is pretty far out. This is 1 October. This is 12 days from now. So a lot can happen between now and then. I just wanted to give you kind of a rundown of the general environmental conditions that may be impacting where this goes. But until the models come into better agreement, which will happen as we get closer, and if it actually develops, which at this point I think there's a good chance. But given the conditions on the East Coast this time of year, I mean, what's been happening? I mean, we've had persistent troughs and weaknesses, and subtropical ridge has not been that strong along the East Coast. So, system's been steered out to sea. So, that being said, that's all I'm going to talk about this for right now. I'm not going to go over any more ensemble guidance because this gives you a pretty good idea what the thinking is for the long term. And I really do think we're going to get a depression develop out here eventually. But beyond that, it's a wait and see game. Next, I'm going to go over climatology real quickly to give you an idea about what the climatology is this time of year, when storms form in their tracks. And that'll be it for the tropics for today. All right, real quickly, here's a climatology for Atlantic hurricane and tropical storm activity. You see the red peak here is hurricanes and tropical storms total. And this is just the yellows are hurricanes. So you can see the peak. We've already passed the peak. This, with the climatology speaking of when most hurricanes occur. However, there's other peaks as we go down until November and December, of course. Not a lot of activity between December and August, really. But that's Gives you a good idea. We still have a long way to go until we get out of hurricane season here. And this gives you a better idea of the, I know it's kind of confusing, but to look at, but these are just all the origins. 190, this is for the Eastern Pacific and the Atlantic combined, the origins of storms. So you can see the main development region quite active, Gulf of Mexico, subtropical Atlantic, right? This is the period of rain right now. So we move through October 1st to the 10th. You can see there's more density here in the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, still Eastern Pacific, and not as many total storms either, 159, subtropical Atlantic. And you can see the majority of them go out to sea, right? Not a lot of them hit the United States. So moving through time, oops, let me go back, fix that. 11th through the 20th. Interestingly enough, not as many in the Gulf of Mexico, a lot in the Caribbean, likely because more intrusions of troughs and drier air and upper level inflow becomes a lot less favorable in this area. Starts to shut off the Gulf too, although you never know, right? Most activity is in the Caribbean, off the southeast coast, and a few still in the subtropical Atlantic. And 21st to 31st, number of 88. You can see the total number keeps going down. And that's as far as I'm going to go, but you can see clearly the origins of the storms are mostly focused in the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, and up the southeast coast, which we expect this time of year, and some in the Eastern Pacific. Oh, I see. You have the number is different over here. So for the Eastern Pacific, it's 35. Let me step back here, and the Atlantic is 88. Atlantic, total of 129 from 1851 to 2024. Number 52. So the numbers still go down, as you can see, total number. So that's it for climatology, and that's it for the tropics for today. I'll be doing a forecast later and talk about potential severe weather coming up next couple days.